Did you see Countdown was disappointing?
Yes.
I love that album.
Ashes in Your Mouth makes up for all of Rust in Peace.
No. Psychotron makes up for...
Oh, okay. Psychotron sucks.
Here's the thing I say about Megadeth. You know, like, their best is better than Metallica's best, but their worst is so much worse. And they have more worse.
I can't even agree with that.
Thing.
I don't agree with that. There's nothing as bad as Lulu.
Well, like, I think
there's nothing as
his
good.
Playing is better. Like, Dave's playing is better, right?
Yeah.
But overall, the product is so diminished because Megadeth has so much more that's not as good, and it really brings the whole product down.
Well, they got like 20 albums now, right?
Yeah.
They're making the 19th one right now or something like that.
Well,
it's just that their best is really phenomenal. You know, their best easily holds up with anything else in metal.
Right, so I'm saying they should have cut like 10 of those albums and kept only the good songs. That's what Metallica would do, right? They just wouldn't put an album out for 10 years.
My issue has always been Dave's voice. Like, it's...
Yes.
I can't get past his vocals.
He writes great vocal parts. He's just not a good singer. Yeah. Like, his voice
they're the Rush of metal.
Well, I don't like Rush either, so...
You know, it's funny you said that because I was learning a song off of Peace Sells not that long ago, and I think it was My Last Words. The beginning, he like ripped off a Rush, and I'm like, he must have been like really influenced by Rush. There's no way he would have done what he did unless he played this other Rush song that had that same kind of like really complicated, tricky thing he does with a chord.
Well, that's my favorite Megadeth album. Peace Sells.
Peace Sells.
Yep. By far. Yep. I think his vocals are the best they've ever sounded on that album. I think the riffs, I think Gar's drumming, the fucking way he hits the bell on the ride on that album, just that breakdown and Wake Up Dead. Oh.
People say Megadeth never sold out. When people say like Megadeth never sold out, but Metallica did.
No,
yes, they did.
Was when Megadeth sold out.
He sells.
Don't make a song with just, what do you mean I don't believe in God? Like, he slowed it down. It was like radio tempo. It was all over MTV. That should have been the time they said somebody sold out.
I mean,
like Countdown to Extinction was their answer to the Black Album.
Yes.
Cryptic Writing was their answer to
Load.
That came before Load, but it was kind of like the same.
Cryptic Writings is the good one.
No, I actually like it. Risk is the one I mean. That's like their answer to like Load.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean? Everything came like right
wasn't Risk their answer to Load in a way?
It was.
That's what I mean. That's what I meant. Cryptic Writings actually good. Cryptic Writings is actually good.
Yeah.
Yeah, Cryptic Writings I think is close to the best album for me. Just
it's their different phase where they actually did really well. You know, like they were. It wasn't like just pure metal. It
also had like 4 radio hits.
Yeah.
Like, nothing.
I like it a lot actually.
Was that popular? And when I saw
it went downhill after that.
That She-Wolf song when they would play it live.
Oh, that whole extended
guitar solo, that was like awesome. That was so awesome.
Yeah, that riff just badass.
And it's the last Marty Friedman. It's the end of Marty Friedman.
Yeah.
Oh no, Risk. Yeah. I just forgot Risk exists.
That one doesn't count.
I liked The System Has Failed, and I liked Dystopia. I like both those albums. But
Dystopia was good.
Yeah.
Well,
that one song there, that's that chuggy thing that they. Oh my god, that's heavy as fuck. It's one of the heaviest things they ever did. Yeah. I don't remember what the song's called off the top of my head.
And I love Kiko as a guitar player. His solos are awesome.
Yeah.
And anyway, we should really talk about Pink Floyd.
No more metal. There aren't many albums that every single song has its own Wikipedia page, but this album does. Like every single song has its own page.
That's cool.
Every single song does?
Yeah, every song.
Okay. Let's get into it. So, welcome back to Somewhere in Time Podcast, everybody. SomewhereInTimePodcast.com or SITpodcast.com is where you find us online. Get to all of our episodes there. All our links to social media are there. YouTube. By the way, on YouTube, you should check it out because we've been doing a lot more stuff for YouTube. We've been doing some vinyl rundowns and unboxings, I guess you could call them.
Cat videos.
Yeah. Cat videos, yeah. Yeah, so we're trying to put more content up there. So check out our YouTube page.
Yeah.
Subscribe. Ring that bell for all your notifications.
Make the little thing turn blue.
You have to
Yeah.
smash the subscribe button. You can't just
That's
hit
right.
it.
Smash that subscribe button.
Yes. Yes.
WNBC.
You might have a career
all right,
radio.
this episode we are talking about The Division Bell by Pink Floyd. Yes, we are still talking about 94 albums, believe it or not. It's, almost midway
Halfway through
through
95, 2045.
2025. We're still on. We'll get to 95 eventually.
We're almost
but
we're
still-
almost done.
Yeah.
This
So-
is it, right, isn't it?
I think we were gonna do
I think one more.
one more. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I'm Eric. We've got Tim here
Yes, I'm here
with his cat.
with my cat.
And
She's here.
by the way, my cat wants in right now. She's scratching at my door, so I should let her in. That's the sister of that cat right there. So
Yeah.
Keith is here.
I am.
Joe is not here for this episode because he hates Pink Floyd. No, I'm just kidding. But we have two special guests. We have two returning guests actually. So say hello to Landon. Hi, Landon.
Hi, Landon.
Hi.
And Justin is here. So where are we starting on this one? We're gonna play a little bit of it and then start talking about it. All right.
Don't play the first song.
No. We're just gonna play all 4.5 minutes of that. Just kidding.
It's just Pink Floyd,
Eh,
Screams Pink Floyd.
Yep.
now
It definitely screams Pink.
Oh yeah.
All right. Well, we'll get into more of the tracks later, but this band, obviously, David Gilmour on vocals, guitars, keyboards, a little bit of bass, programming, Nick Mason on drums, and Richard Wright on keyboards.
Repeat that. Richard Wright is a part of the band in this one.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Very
Yes.
significant thing we need to talk about, but
Yeah.
we'll get to that.
songwriting credits.
Produced by David Gilmour. Andrew Jackson engineered this. Wow, that's crazy. Not that Andrew Jackson.
The really old band.
Yeah, so this was the second Pink Floyd album recorded without founding Roger Waters, which kind of blew my mind. Like, I feel like at this point Roger Waters has been out of the band for like 30 years, but I know it
Really?
wasn't that long, but it
It
just,
had been
Wow.
10. It had been 10,
It's been like 10 years, yeah.
11
10 or
years.
12. Yeah.
Yeah.
it just, I feel for whatever reason I thought they would release more albums than that, but just to hear it was only the second album that was without Roger
Well,
Waters.
Delicate Sound of Thunder came out in between Momentary Lapse of Reason and
That's probably
Division
why.
Bell, and that was kind of
That's probably why.
that was kind of the second one. It was a double CD. That was like my favorite album until this thing came out.
Yeah.
That was a great one.
Our dad wore that thing out.
Oh yeah. And this was written mostly by David Gilmour and Richard Wright, which is interesting.
Yeah.
We can get into the Richard Wright stuff now if you want, Keith.
Well, all right. I mean, let's face it. There's this band, as we all know, started back in the 60s with Syd Barrett doing the lead vocals and being the main inspiration for the trippy ass, drugged out brilliance and artistry that was just incredible. Saucer Full of Secrets.
It's way ahead of its time.
Yeah, exactly. Oh my God, you couldn't say that. And unfortunately, Syd Barrett did way too many drugs. So they couldn't maintain what they loved him. They loved him dearly and wanted the best for him. And the best for him was sending him home and hoping that he was able to turn his life around. He was not. So as the band kept going, Roger Waters, their bassist, kind of became the guy. And he very much, I would say, took over and was, the musical genius behind, of course, let's face it, they had some phenomenal albums. Sure, they also had, Atom Heart Mother and I love Relics, but still, like, those are not, Dark Side of the Moon and The Wall.
worth noting that almost every one of the biggest hits off of those big Roger Waters albums were songs that David Gilmour wrote and brought to Roger Waters. So Comfortably Numb.
Comfortably Numb, yeah.
Another Brick in the Wall, Money, Time, Dogs, like all the best one. Wish You Were Here and Shine On Your Crazy Diamond. Like all the best songs from that run where Roger took over.
I thought Money was
David Gilmour.
I thought Money was a bass line that what's his name wrote, that Roger Waters wrote.
Yeah, and he did, and he did the cash register part too. But I believe that David like wrote half the songs. I think solo, right?
When we talked about Dark Side of the Moon, there was it was his decision to do the weird time signature. Like David Gilmour definitely had a lot of input on that song outside the bass line. So
that whole making of that one's documented in the Live at Pompeii movie, and that's coming out in the theaters like next month.
Oh, nice.
Into IMAX too. It's going to be.
I'm gonna have to do that. Yeah,
Go check that out
for sure.
Make sure I'll hit my.
I swear he wrote Money. I'm going to look up.
So anyway, back to Richard Wright.
One way or another.
He was the lead singer on Money, no matter how you look at it. So Roger Waters couldn't claim that.
That's true.
One way or another. So the band is kind of all of a sudden excelling to this level of being like rock legends, so to speak. Instead of playing this tripped out, weird, drugged out stuff, all of a sudden, they start writing more rock and roll kind of style. And things, I guess between the members was getting kind of weird. And according to what I've read, Richard Wright, the keyboardist, who was a member of the band, wasn't contributing like anything. I don't know if he was just doing too much drugs or just, waiting for someone else to, a lot of bassists like myself just play the root of whatever the hell the guitar player's doing. So maybe he just showed up and was like, all right, here's a C chord. But whatever it was, he, Waters brought up to the rest of the band, Mason and that other guy, Gilmour, and they all agreed like, all right, you know what, Richard Wright, he's just not cutting it, So he's out. So they kick him out of the band that he was an original member of, but they don't, because he was still in the band. He was just, he was kind of like a studio guy. Like they let him tour with them. He was still playing with the band, but he wasn't technically a member of the band.
Hold on. So he was in like he was in Portugal doing cocaine like every day. That's why he didn't show up to the recording sessions for The Wall. So then Bob Ezrin, who was, I think he was the producer, he started doing recording the keyboards without Richard Wright. So then Richard Wright finally comes in and he's like, hey, you guys made this whole album without me. And then they agreed to let him go on the tour with them.
Oh?
Yeah, it was
for The Wall?
It wasn't that he was just being bad, because the dude's like, he's the most accomplished musician of the whole group.
For sure.
So he actually is a classical composer and pianist. So it's just... Yeah,
and penis.
Bad year. So yeah, penis. And I found out at some point like that David Gilmour also started doing cocaine all the time right before this album came out.
Yeah, he had an addiction for like 10, 15 years.
Surprise!
Helped him.
Well, his wife left him
get out of it. Yeah,
his wife left him, and his girlfriend Polly Sampson, who's now his wife, who wrote most of the lyrics on this album, she saved him from his cocaine stupor.
I'm sure a lot of our audience would be surprised that the members of Pink Floyd did drugs.
Not that drug. That's not the drug you think.
That's what I'm saying. You would think LSD or some,
you would think LSD, weed,
drug, right? Yeah,
heroin, not cocaine. And then their hobbies
was this
are like
the 80s, because I feel like as the 80s that you had cocaine.
Let's say that's the drug of choice in the 80s.
Yeah,
their hobbies are flying airplanes, racing like Formula One cars. Like these things that they do are not like these high adrenaline things, and it's nothing like their music, which is
hilarious.
Yeah.
Well, you brought up Polly Sampson. I was going to ask if, like, I don't know enough about the history of this band to know if Gilmour was writing lyrics at all before this, because I know Polly Sampson helped write pretty much all the lyrics on Luck and Strange too, the most recent Gilmour album, right? So has she basically just become the lyricist that works with him no matter what?
This is when it started. I think she wrote 6 songs on this album. She wrote the lyrics too, and then a couple were producer, I think. Anyway, I don't know for sure, but yeah, she's the poet in the band. Also, it wasn't just Luck and Strange; it was on an island. She did that one, and then what was the one with the came out in between Rattle That Lock?
Rattle That Lock. Yeah.
She did the lyrics on that. Yeah, so pretty much everything from this point forward.
What about before this? Was it basically like?
I think it was Roger Waters mostly.
Yeah.
No, because there's Momentary Lapse.
We have Momentary Lapse of Reason. I
don't know who did those. I don't know who did it. But I can tell you this. The David Gilmour solo albums before that, the ones About Face and I forget the other one, they suck. Like, the lyrics are so stupid. You can just tell that David Gilmour without Roger Waters sucks because he doesn't have the Roger Waters lyrics and Roger Waters like spits venom in, even though it's singing, the lyrics are very like mean and almost Dave Mustaine like. Then when you look at Roger Waters without David Gilmour, the music sucks. It's like
Dave Mustaine invented lyrics though, so.
Yeah, so I think Roger Waters' music is boring. He just couldn't.
Oh yeah,
without David Gilmour.
So Richard Wright
is one of those instances where the sum of the parts are better than the individual.
Yeah, exactly. It's like Axl and Slash.
Yeah.
We are still talking about Richard Wright. Richard Wright, the significance of this is, all right, so back in the mid-'70s, they flat out kicked him out of his own band that he was an original member of. So he wasn't technically in the band. Obviously, as most people should be aware, Gilmour and Waters finally came to a head after, touring with The Wall. Waters pretty much, did the final cut and expected that, okay, we've done everything we planned to do. Now we're going to just stop the band. And the rest of the band was like, what? And, unfortunately, Waters thought that he was Pink Floyd. So he said, the band's over. And he left and went off and did his thing. And of course, as Justin just mentioned, what's his face, put out a couple solo albums, and then
with Eric Clapton, by the way, with Eric Clapton.
Yeah.
Oh wow!
David Gilmour played with Pete Townsend for a little while in between here too. Like there was when they went on hiatus, basically. Go ahead. Sorry.
But when they came back for Momentary Lapse of Reason, which was an album in what was that 87?
86.
87,
right.
I think.
Yeah. It was 86. So one way or another. So when that album came out, there was a fuck ton. Lawyers got heavily involved as to what they were allowed to do as Pink Floyd, because flat out, Gilmour and Mason were like, "Hey, we're Floyd. We're a lot. We weren't Syd Barrett, but we've been doing this long enough that we can warrant being that band." Part of that, them getting back together, was that Richard Wright was not allowed to be a member of the band for Momentary Lapse of Reason. By this point, with Division Bell, whatever, I'm not sure what the fuck. If it was more lawsuits or bullshit between Waters and Gilmour, Waters is, I love that man and will always respect him, but Jesus fucking Christ, this got fucking stupid. Got really stupid. And Richard Wright was not allowed to be a member of the band, I think, until this one came out. And this one was when he was magically, dramatically a part of the band again, even though he never actually left.
Yeah.
So
that's pretty much it.
Yeah.
Album cover, production. We usually discuss these two things.
So album covers, starting in, I want to say it was Metal was the first one. They got this company called Signosis, I think it was. That they made every album cover from that time on. So even this one,
was that the group that did like a bunch of because there was a documentary on Netflix or one of those streaming services where they're talking about this.
I think so. Yeah.
They talk about like some of the most iconic album covers, and it's by those guys.
So they did "Wish You Were Here."
Yes. Yeah, they did.
Right.
They talk about it on that documentary.
Looking at the album cover, that's actually a very famous album cover. I've seen it. It's not their most famous album, but the album cover itself is actually very well known.
Yeah.
Storm Thorgerson, I guess, created
Storm Thorgerson. He also slaughtered the Huns and viciously attack the Anglo-Saxons.
Well, those two heads are actually real metal sculptures. They're the size of double-decker buses.
Oh my god!
Wow.
Were they created specifically for this album, or were they like?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
wow.
They're for this album. Yeah. And then they were put in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and then now they're in London at a Pink Floyd exhibition. But yeah, they're real. Those things are real.
Oh, I forgot. I did bring this
Oh, nice.
Oh yeah, that's
Box
awesome.
set?
because that's the 20th anniversary.
Nice.
Has all the different heads.
Oh,
Either
wow.
a wooden one, a stone one, a metal one.
Yeah.
Straw
The
one, and a big bad
singles-
wolf came and blew it down.
Yeah.
Storm Thorgerson blew it down.
Sorry.
But yeah, I always thought it was neat that there were different types of heads, and what was inside their mouth would change. Like the castle was in one, and
What was that about penis?
have lights in
Oh,
them.
nice. That's cool. So it's supposed to be two heads talking to each other, or it can be seen as a
One
single
head.
third face. And Thorgerson said that the third absent face was a reference to Sid Barrett. This is from Wikipedia.
Huh.
Yeah, but the whole concept of talking and communication this is a bit of a concept album to some
Yeah,
extent.
I read that too.
Yeah, so it's fitting, the album cover. Yeah,
I think there's like another theme to it that's like science.
I
Yeah,
believe.
because that's when they mentioned the whole Stephen Hawking things, where that originated from.
Yeah, I have-
and it's why I didn't want Eric to play the first song as an example, because the intro is a recording of a solar wind, so it's just like static
wow.
for like a minute, and the fans that bought the album tried to return it. They thought that their first track was broken because that sound was like static.
It's funny that you say that, because I was telling them earlier, I listened to it again yesterday just to refamiliarize myself with it, and I was like, what's going on? Then because I turned it up. What's happening? You could hear that it builds.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So yeah, I had that exact thought, because I haven't listened to it in a while. It's because I put my music on random, and so it pops up every once in a while, like one song, but I haven't like sat and listened to it in probably like 5 years.
Yeah,
Oh, wow.
I'm the same way.
It's good. Let's talk about that, because let's face it, when it comes to Pink Floyd, it's not just songs written. I mean, so many ways, as mentioned with the kind of the cover, like so much of their music, an album is an album.
Yeah.
Like each piece of it is just a part of the entire whole. And this is one of those bands that very much, when you sit down, random doesn't work for this band,
This album in particular is like, it's great just to sit and just listen. Like, some albums you listen to it for emotion, or like metal, you listen to it for the aggression. This is one of those ones where you just sit and listen to it and like close your eyes. One of those types of albums. Like every song on it has, it's I don't know the right word. It's just smooth. It's just,
it's very psychedelic. It's psychedelic, but the big thing, like, let's face it, when you listen to, say, Atom Heart Mother or Metal, you mentioned Metal, their earlier stuff has some of this, and then of course
bits and pieces of it, right?
Exactly. But once you get into like the real, when Waters took over, and you get the Wall and Final Cut, where you really have flat out like more of, a heavier kind of guitar tone and more of the rock and roll coming out. This album, like, I really feel like is a step back to their early stuff, but it's also them being old. It's
mature, but it's chilled out.
It's very relaxed, but it's also definitely it's people in their 50s playing this album.
Well, our dad loved this album, so
yeah.
But I mean, the one thing I was thinking about, like, if this wasn't Pink Floyd, if I got this album and it was Bob Johnson and Bob Johnson's friends that happen to be musicians, and
I'd be like,
who's
this Bob Johnson guy? He's an awesome guitar player.
Well, true. I would be impressed by the musical, construct. But I mean, let's face it, you can't really say what would this album be like if it wasn't Pink Floyd, because just as you mentioned, that first track, it's like, you listen to it and you're like, why is this happening? And then it's explained to you, and you're like, oh, well, that makes sense. And it's
in the context, though, it's context.
Exactly.
It's totally context.
Of course, that's exactly why that is. All right.
At the time this came out, I wouldn't say that David Gilmour was famous. Like people didn't like him the way they like him now. It was this time and particularly Pulse and the way he performed live there that put him on the cover of every guitar magazine for like 10 years in a row. He was voted the #1 guitar player, and before this time, it was like nobody even talked about him.
I love what you just said there, because I mean, you think about Momentary Lapse of Reason, which I love. I love that album, but it is very much, as I said, it's more rock, but it's definitely less rock than their 70s stuff. Like it is, it's good jamming, but it's not this. It's not like this touch back into kind of the way Floyd could write an entire album. I would say, like, Momentary Lapse of Reason, I could hear that one. You hit a few tracks with that on random, and I wouldn't be like, oh, yeah.
There's some interesting 80s.
Bruce
80s
Springsteen is next.
Well, there's some like Learning to Fly. The drums in that are kind of, I mean, they're almost electronic sounding. So there's almost some 80s influences in that a little bit. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, they remastered that album, and it's much better now.
Oh,
the
really?
newer version of it. Yeah, it sounds a lot better.
And that song is on The Endless River, the last Pink Floyd album. It's like a different take of it that has pieces that weren't in the original. Like,
yeah, I have that.
Okay.
Yeah, I like that version best of all.
Okay, I'll have to listen to that. Yeah,
Learning to Fly.
This is kind of a tough listen. It's a lot.
Yeah, I started it the other day, and I was like, well, I'm.
I wouldn't listen to the album. I would only listen to that song.
Yeah.
It might not even be on that album. It might have just came out with the album on streaming services. I can't remember for sure.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Yeah, I have. I found a little radio interview thing with the band after this album had come out, so I have some clips I could play as we go through this. When we get more into it, there's some stuff about the album title, the writing process, and then a couple of things about the songs. So, yeah.
Well, we're. I mean, I think we're there, right? I mean, we can talk about writing and production if we want.
Yeah. I have it's a 3-minute clip if you're willing to sit here for 3 minutes, listen to David Gilmour talk about the writing process. But it is interesting if you want to.
That stuff fascinates the hell out of me, so that's fine with me.
Sure.
This is recorded on his boat too, right?
I think so.
All the interviews when this album came out, I remember were on MTV, and they were always on his boat.
Okay, well, this was audio only, so I have no idea if they're on a boat or not.
Yeah.
Okay.
I just thought it was neat. Like, this guy's recording his album on a boat going down the Thames. Like,
yeah.
Just how he does things. He can do whatever he wants.
All right. If the audio's okay, I'll keep going.
The last 5 studio albums. Well, you know the history. It's in the last few years, we've been through all our sort of ups and downs, our splits and all that stuff. Rick left, rejoined, Roger left, didn't rejoin. The album since, say, Animals was more an album where Roger and I were taking command of it, and it was becoming more down to things that were written at home by people. The Wall even more so. The Momentary Lapse of Reason album was recorded again by... It wasn't a terribly cooperative event with everyone really putting their maximum in. And this album, I guess I'd say for the first time since maybe the Wish You Were Here album, is a more joint effort than any album we've done since then, which we started off by going into Nick's studio, Britannia Row studio in London, January 93. With myself, Rick, and Nick, and Guy, the bass player from our last tour. And we just jammed away at anything for 2 weeks, just playing anything that we had in our heads or that we made up on the spot. And then we took all that over to Astoria and started listening to all the tapes and working stuff out. We found we had 65 pieces of music.
There must be a different attitude towards the creative process now.
Well, if you look at the albums, if you look at the things, I think of my sort of my favorite album, I suppose I would say, was the Wish You Were Here album. And, the actual process of sitting together in a room with several musicians and actually performing together from nothing is a very interesting, exciting sort of process. And rather than coming into the studio with pieces of music that I already had and pieces of music that Rick already had and stuff like that, and music from anywhere, I thought that it would be better for us to start off from scratch with nothing and just go and start jamming. Whether or not we would keep all that stuff or whether we'd use any of it or what was not really particularly relevant, but just to start that process off. And in fact, we didn't use, several of the tracks are sort of my own songs that didn't even come from that period and have been written since or whatever. It doesn't really matter. But that process was a very, very good, if you like, communal process where we all contributed together, and that was what started the album off. It gave us our kickstart. So the start of the album came from a more joint effort than any album that we've made since Wish You Were Here.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, I remember reading on the wiki that they had I don't think he said they had 65, but I thought something about 98 or something like that.
Yeah, and then they whittled it down to 27, I think I read the same thing. And then they voted on them, and then Richard Wright, they voted 0 to 10, and Richard Wright put a 10 on the songs that he wrote and a 0 on the ones he didn't, because he wanted, for the first time, to have writing credits on an album, on the Pink Floyd album. So
didn't understand the assignment.
Yeah. I think a lot of the songs that I don't like are because of him doing that. And there are quite a few I don't like on this album.
Oh, wow.
Didn't last for me.
Okay.
Sounds like a dream job, though. Just sit in a room for 2 weeks, just jamming. Yeah.
It does.
Be okay with that.
Yeah.
It is really
Stupid
interesting.
Responsibilities, though.
Yeah. We weren't rock stars, unfortunately. We couldn't live that dream.
Yeah.
Well, I was talking to somebody earlier, back when I was, back when I speak for myself, a band I was in, we would practice twice a week. Couldn't think of doing that now.
Nope.
No.
Twice a week. And then we're playing, shows probably twice a month.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes twice in a weekend. I mean, I know cover bands are a different thing. That's, that's its own thing. But
yeah,
original music is, you don't do that. Yeah. I loved it.
Yeah, I bet.
So
it is interesting. This was
like a live show
on that
since 2017
riverboat.
Oh, wow. Yeah, it's insane. But it sounds the production's good and it sounds good. The album sounds very good.
Do you want to talk about any of the stuff around the album before the songs or after we go through all the songs?
No, we can talk about the stuff.
I have a whole, I remember every moment from when the first single hit the radio till after the tour, till Pulse came out. I have so many memories of, I don't know why, but that particular year and time, I have a ton of memories from.
Yeah,
so I wrote most
that.
of them.
Yeah.
Well, first, when Laura and I got married in 2008, every table was labeled by a Pink Floyd album. So Division Bell was one of them. I think we saved the Division Bell sign from that. I guess Keith already called or brought this up, but before Roger took over the band, it was a different Pink Floyd. Sid Barrett, even after Sid Barrett left for a while, it was just kind of jamming and doing random things. It was Sid's spirit was still with the band. So when the tour started, they opened up every show with Astronomy to Mine. And it was the first time they'd played that in forever. And they did that to prove that there was a Pink Floyd before Roger and there's going to be a Pink Floyd after Roger.
Nice.
That's what they said. What they said was the reason for it, and it was cool because it was they used liquid light shows for that song on that tour, which you didn't see anybody doing liquid light show in the 80s or 90s, especially. I guess you did because freaking Austin Powers came out. What else? So in Philadelphia, there were 2 big rock radio stations, and they just never stopped playing Pink Floyd from the moment this started. It must last 2 or 3 years of You know how they have mandatory Metallica on Friday nights in a lot of radio stations?
Yeah.
They started doing that with Pink Floyd, like every night at 9 p.m. Pink Floyd until 1 a.m.
Oh, wow.
I mean,
I don't think I've ever heard a Pink Floyd thing like that.
And then there's the Franklin Institute, which is like a planetarium in Philly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
they would have the laser shows where you go in and you watch lasers.
Yeah.
Over the thing, and they had the wall. They had like Dark Side of the Moon. So there were
I've been to one of those.
Shows.
Yeah.
Way back when, not there, but I've been to one of those. It's awesome.
Me too. I've only been to one of those, and it was Pink Floyd. So
yeah,
Pink Floyd, yeah, at an IMAX theater where it was the round IMAX theater.
Oh, nice.
Where it wasn't meant for like movies; it was meant for like something like this.
Weird stuff. Yeah. What else? Oh, I don't know. This at the show that I saw in Philly for this tour. Afterwards, I hung out and waited for David Gilmour. Like I was like, I want to meet David Gilmour here. So I'm like, you know where the trucks unload in all these big stadiums. I just like stood there hanging over a railing, just waiting for David Gilmour. And he comes out on this golf cart, like sitting on the back. Someone else is driving, and he comes like right by us, and we're all waving. David, hey David, and then he looks at my girlfriend. And he's like, hey baby. That's like the worst feeling to me. Like, what the fuck, dude? Like, no, I don't know. I thought that was, I'm not going to forget that. My one interaction with David Gilmour was him saying that to my girlfriend at the time.
Don't meet your heroes.
Yeah, exactly. That's the thing I think of whenever I hear that.
Wow.
So, also on the sound system for this tour, they had, maybe this is better said for Pulse, but they had a 32 speaker surround system in the stadium. And before it started, they played like crickets. So you could hear crickets everywhere. Then you heard this guy like start a motorcycle. Oh, I should mention, like, whatever this thing I'm thinking of, hypnosis or something, they helped Pink Floyd and create quadraphonic sound. So they've been doing this for a long time, dealing with these like surround sound things. So and kind of doing like imagery based on sound. So many of Pink Floyd's albums in the 70s, like there's sounds and you know something's going on because like, you know, you hear that sound. Like, what's a good example? The train in the wall. The machines in the machine, welcome to the machine, like that kind of stuff. These effects that kind of give you a clue what's happening, like you see something with it. This was like a motorcycle starting, and it sounded like it was starting like on the top level of the stadium, and then it was like it was riding around. You could hear it like going around you all the way around the stadium, and then it would get faster and faster until it was like whipping around you, like impossibly fast motorcycle. And then Astronomy Divine will come on.
Oh, that's cool.
That was really awesome. Anyway, I think that's it for my stories.
I'm so disappointed I never got to see them live.
Yeah.
Oh,
this is one of those bands. It's just like, I mean, let's face it. You know they haven't played live since the mid '90s.
No, they played.
I saw David Gilmour with Richard Wright in 2010. That was close enough. Yeah.
They did
they
thing.
Well, they got together with freaking Waters for
Live Aid.
Live Aid.
Yeah.
I
mean,
and that somebody asked Tobias Forge from Ghost, like if he could have like a magic potion that would do one thing, what would he want to do? And he's like, I want David Gilmour and Roger Waters to get back together. That was really great to hear from him.
Wow.
I am not surprised at that statement, because that might be one for me too. That would. That's the whole thing. I want them to get back together, but also be able to revert themselves back to their mid-20s or at least early 30s.
Yeah, I don't want to hear them do anything now.
Yeah, exactly.
It doesn't matter anymore.
No.
I mean, I've heard a lot of Roger Waters live stuff. I mean, he keeps on just touring the wall nonstop, but
his lives, the visuals at his shows are still amazing.
The visuals are cool, but it doesn't sound good.
I don't know about that. The Wall was incredible. I saw the two different runs that he did of The Wall, but then he did Animals. And the Animals one was so nuts, and it sounded. I mean, it's like mostly instrumental, so they pulled it off really well. But that tour they had, like in the middle of the stadium, this like kind of invisible movie screen would come down, and they would project that Factory from England onto the screen, and like there was like smoke coming out of the smokestacks, and the pig flying by, and it all was like it was so huge, it was in your face, no matter where you were in the stadium. In the Capital ones in Reno. It was impressive, really impressive. Also, this stuff spoils me when I go see other shows and they're like Metallica and people are like, oh my God, look what they did, this cool thing. And it's like, you have no idea how cool, or even the Trans-Siberian Orchestra. Like this dude comes out in a woman comes out in a crystal ball, a snow globe, like singing in the middle of the crowd. And I remember back to this tour where they played Comfortably Numb, and the ground like opened up next to us, and this gigantic disco ball, like the size of a house, came out with laser beams shooting all off it everywhere. Nothing is ever going to compare to something like that.
Yeah.
All right, I held up enough.
That's all right.
Well, I have more clips. So the clip about the album title from Gilmour, we can play that. It's not as long as the last one.
Okay.
So I can play that if you want to hear it. All right.
Sure.
First of all, the title, the Division Bell. Was the title actually something that came late, or is it just something that you kept under your hat?
Late isn't. It's one of the very, very last things that we did. I think it was the last thing we did on the album was getting the damn title. We took ages, and it comes from a line in a song, High Hopes, contains a line about the Division Bell.
What is the Division Bell?
The Division Bell is a bell that rings in Westminster, in the Houses of Parliament, and it also rings in the apartments of many of the members of Parliament, and it is a bell that rings to summon all the members of Parliament to go to the House of Commons and to divide into yeas and nays to vote on the issues, because often in debates in the Houses of Parliament, the members of Parliament are not necessarily all there. Some of them have already made up their minds about what they want to do, or are just going to follow the party line. And so they may be sitting at home in an apartment. There's a sort of catchment area around the Houses of Parliament where, within a certain distance, where if you are a member of Parliament, they install this bell in your apartment. They get to the point where they finish debating, they ring this bell. Everyone that's in the area comes down. If you're all the Tories and all the Labour people, all come down to vote one way or the other. It's a division bell. It divides the yeses from the nos.
Pink Floyd began recording the Division Bell album in January of 1993, but they'd already committed to begin touring in March of 94. Now, while this self-imposed time schedule gave them at least a year to finish the record, it also put Pink Floyd under a great deal of pressure to satisfy their...
Oh, sorry. I meant to cut it off before then, but yeah, there
pressure.
You go. I had no idea.
A great deal of pressure.
That was pretty cool. So
yeah, I had no idea that's what that was referring
I had
to.
no idea. Yeah. Should we get into some of the tracks?
Sure.
Whoa, the tracks.
I mean, the whole album is good, and I do have some little clips about certain songs, but geez.
I mean, exactly. I couldn't do that for this. I couldn't be like, 605 and pulls apart. It's like,
I had some of that, a little bit of that. Actually, pulls apart. I put 410 and pulls apart, so I could play that. But
I have at least a paragraph for every one of these songs.
Okay. So, cluster 1. If I start playing it, like
except that one, it's a sentence. It's boring, but better than the first song on A Momentary Lapse of Reason, which was like, the guy throwing his boat
yeah,
on a river.
Yeah.
So the wind is cooler, but
that's solar wind, you guys said?
yeah, like like the audible, whatever they would call it, like where you take like a magnetic source and you turn it into sound. You know what I'm talking about? Where you take like the radio waves and you make sound out of them. That's what they're doing.
Anyway.
Yeah, there's not much to this song.
Yeah. Stop it there. So
you could play that in a psychologist's office.
Yeah.
Somebody down.
Would either have a great result or a very bad result.
Yeah.
What do you want from me? That's a really good song.
Yeah,
I mean, it's the big hit from the album, I guess you could say, right?
I was thinking that at first, and then remembering back, and I don't think so. It was the big hit from Pulse. It was not the big hit from this album.
All right. Oh, okay.
I mean,
was there a hit from this album?
It was so awesome.
I mean, that's
was way better.
As he's saying, there is no big hit from this album, but when this one starts, it's like, oh, of course, this one. And he's right. It's not that I remember it from this album. I remember.
Somehow,
yeah. Did they do a video? I mean, obviously, Pulse is but did they release a video for it on MTV?
I don't know if they released the movie. Pulse had a movie, a CD.
Yeah,
and this was the single.
DVD,
This was a single off of Pulse, if I recall correctly.
Yeah.
I don't want to give away what I think the real big hit is off this album. I'll tell you when we get there.
I would say listen to it and remember how many it's like, wow, there are actually a lot of songs in this that I like and remember.
Yeah, Coming Back to Life, I think, might have been on the radio. Possibly. High Hopes is the best song
High
on the
Hopes
album.
was on the radio.
That's the best song on the album by a lot. But
my notes say best song by far.
What do you want from me? I think I've heard on the radio.
Yeah,
I don't know. That's like serious though, so that doesn't count. They always play like deep cuts and stuff.
I love Lost for Words.
Yeah, Take It Back. I've heard.
Oh yeah. Take It Back. Yeah. Take It Back. Yeah,
I've definitely heard that one on regular radio.
I'm getting too far ahead if we're going track by track.
Yeah,
Sorry.
I mean,
we were just talking about the ones that we've like really, heard like on actual radio.
Yeah. If I play What Do You Want From Me, that's very Pink Floyd.
It's just very Pink Floyd. Yeah, it's just like dead on.
Eric already played this, but
they have a sound. That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like have a cigar almost.
Did I read that those female vocalists are from the last album too? Momentary Lapse?
Yeah, I think they had the whole run through there. They had like the same 3 like female vocalists.
Yeah.
Live too.
The 3 that he just had on the tour in November was like nothing I've ever seen. It was 3 of them and his daughter, and they all 3 did Great Gig in the Sky, and it was incredible. I was never really impressed before it, but what I saw the last month was crazy, or November. Was crazy.
Yeah, I wish I could have gone to that, but that was one of those exclusive, like, you got to go to New York or LA or
right.
I don't know. So
he can only do 3 cities. He can't travel.
Yeah. The part I was trying to find is right here. Into this.
Oh yeah. Yeah, this part's great.
Yeah.
So there's like a lot of people that consider Pink Floyd to be like the Grateful Dead. They don't really listen to it. They have like a stigma against it that they're like the Grateful Dead, like that kind of hippie music. But it's not. It's what you just played. It's like this just really spacey, like. It's not hippie music at all. It's more like sci-fi music, if there was a term for it. It's future music, not.
I think it's just a broad term because people think it's like drug music. They're like, it's.
I guess, yeah.
That's music you get stoned to and space out to, and there's no real there's nothing there really, and that's such bullshit.
I mean, you can get stoned to both of them, but they're so far apart. Stylistically.
Well, like Justin said, Richard Wright was like this accomplished pianist. Like he's like this really, like if you watch that documentary on Dark Side of the Moon, we talked about it when we talked about that album. Like he really goes into depth about a lot of the like theory and a lot of the songs and just different time signatures and all that kind of stuff. So, like, yeah, I think I can't speak to Grateful Dead. I don't know that band at all. Like I could probably name 2 songs by them.
Or Fish. It's just like jam bands is what I picture. When someone says a hippie band, I think of a jam band where everybody's just like playing their instrument all, boring.
Yeah, Pink Floyd has a lot of like long passages, but it's not like jammy.
Right.
In that sense. Except for like at the end, like even at the end of like what is it, Comfortably Numb, he just goes off, but it's still thought out and
composed,
very composed, right?
It's very composed,
exactly.
Yeah, that's not jamming.
No, he does not compose. So and in fact, on those solos, like he's just making chord shapes and following the chords.
Well, I just mean that
but he doesn't.
Out. It's written instead of just.
What he does is they play the track. He plays a guitar solo that he writes like practically on the spot. And he does that 3 times. And then they cut the best parts out of the 3 and put them back together again. And so composed that way, but still more, because every time he played different. Like he really can do like what Kirk Hammett tries to do, where he tries to change the songs and live. This guy's like the king of it. And when he makes a mistake, you're like, that was just so awesome. That was genius. Like that you accidentally did that. Right there. Yeah. And they always were improvisational, but they weren't jamming. They were more jazz than they were like hippie band.
The one thing I always say about David Gilmour is, like you've got there's so many guitar players out there today that can just go insane as far as like what they play. Yep. But David Gilmour can say more with like 2 notes than those guys can with 1,000 notes.
Absolutely.
He's always been one of those players that he doesn't overplay. He plays very minimalistic sometimes, and he says so much more with his music than these guys do with a million notes.
After this album came out, there was a guitar magazine that he was on the cover of, and I swear it said like at like exploring space with David Gilmour, and like you read the interview and he's talking about how much you shouldn't play. Like you need to know when to not play. Right. The song's going. You need to stop and let the space tell something, then come back in. Like that's really, most of those guitar players never
actual
think,
music.
If I stopped right here, that would be interesting. If I just stopped, I don't think anybody takes that into account.
No, well, that's why music today, I think, it doesn't do it for me because it's all about ego, pure ego.
Oh yeah.
Where those like the greats, like they sit and like really put thought into this music. Every little thing that they do has a purpose and a meaning and
it's intentional.
Right. Like, nowadays it lacks soul and it's just generic.
Yeah.
But of course there's exceptions, but I just mean
yeah.
And it's all
and David Gilmour, the way he's like what you were talking about, Landon, with the like he says more with 2 notes. He finds the melody or the heart of the song, and just somehow the solo matches it so perfectly. It's like, how did you? It doesn't sound complicated, but it's like, how did you do that?
But it is. That's the thing. That's what great musicians do.
He says that it's because he's a singer that he does that he finds the right notes like that, because he thinks in terms of how would I sing this, and that's what comes out of his guitar.
That makes sense.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
You're not going to sing finger tapping. You're not going to sing whammy bar dives.
Well, the interesting thing is the next thing I was going to say was I feel like Dimebag had that same ability. He definitely wasn't a singer.
You know how like everybody likes to rip on Kirk Hammett for not being like the best lead player. But the solos that he writes are all memorable. That's the thing. Say what you want about his playing live, whatever. But the solos that he writes, obviously we're all fans.
Not now, but back then.
Yeah, but still, like his solos, David Gilmour, they're singable, and it's a piece of music. Again, these guys nowadays, it's just generic. It's just scales. There's just no soul to it. There's no heart to it.
Lots of sweep picking. Don't forget that. That's Avenged Sevenfold. It's like sweeping all day.
Oh god!
Like the only guy that I can think of that plays, that style of insane. I mean, like modern day was like Jeff Loomis. He was an insanely technical, but he actually did something with it. He's one of the few examples that actually took that insane shredding and did something with it. He's very melodic. Actually wrote pieces of music.
But hasn't he been around for like 30 years now?
Long time.
Hasn't or has?
Has.
He has.
He's not today's guitar player.
Well, I mean,
to be around.
What I'm saying is like the original shredders like Yngwie and Eddie Van Halen and those guys. I mean, like
Marty Friedman is
this generation, the generation after that.
Well, Marty Friedman, he's like that.
Him too.
It's so there's a lot of feeling there.
You want to hear
all these guys now? It's just shredding. There's nothing there. It's just nothing.
Go listen to the latest Baroness album.
Yeah.
Gina Gleason is the guitar player, and she writes some ridiculous solos that are like melodic and have soul and sound amazing. She's one of my favorite new guitar players.
I'm not opposed to super technical. It just needs to say something.
Isn't Baroness 20 years old now?
Yes, but she's fairly.
Shut up, Justin.
She's only on the last 2 albums. She's only on the last 2 albums.
Whenever everybody says like, "Oh, this new things," and I always come back to like, man, like Ghost or something. They're 17 years old now. Like this is crazy.
Yeah.
Time just.
Well, Gina Gleason's only been on the last 2 Baroness albums, so she's a rather new addition to the band. So, and she does backing vocals too, which makes anyway. I don't want to get into Baroness. I'm just they were almost on my top 5 comebacks because the most recent Baroness album was so much better than the one before. Anyway,
yeah, it really was. Yeah.
Anyway, back to Pink Floyd.
Yeah.
Tracks Pulls Apart.
Pulls Apart. Yeah. I put down 410, so I'll just jump to that real quick.
I put down that it's a very uplifting song, and this one really shows off his singing ability, and that the middle of the song is this really cool instrumental.
Yeah,
very long instrumental, like
this
circus,
part.
Circus
This
sound.
part. Yeah, this whole thing.
Oh yeah.
But when it comes out of this, man, it's so good.
Yeah.
The rain fell slow down on all the roofs of uncertain
swing thing going on.
Yeah.
I thought of you and the years and all the sadness fell away from me. And did you know?
And I always love David Gilmour's voice. Like his voice is so smooth over Roger Waters.
But that's why Roger had that. He would come in a song. It had like this evil. Like,
he was definitely darker
because would come in like that, and he could like play a different part to the contrast with it.
Yeah, that's probably why people say these albums are kind of like David Gilmour solo albums, which I don't necessarily agree with, but I understand the point.
Like if you watch them play "Run Like Hell" on Pulse or "Delicate Sound of Thunder," without having Roger doing that part, that's like, you better lock your window, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Never sounds right. It does. And then the same with when you see Roger do it, you miss the David parts.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. What are you gonna do? At least we got these albums, and they're good.
Great.
So,
Marooned is instrumental, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Play some of that. I'll just jump to the middle.
this was one of the first uses of the Digitech whammy pedal.
Yeah, I read that.
Machine.
Yep.
He said he wrote this in one take.
Really? Oh my god!
They handed him that pedal, and he wrote this.
That's crazy.
What?
That's what I was saying. Like, he doesn't compose, but it sounds like it.
God, that's crazy.
This is also. I was surprised to learn that he was using a Zoom thing on this back then.
Like a Zoom pedal, one of those old school Zoom pedals.
Yes.
Yeah,
oh my God.
I couldn't believe it. I was like, "Wait, I use a Zoom pedal today. How is he like?" I didn't
But
realize.
I suck.
Wait, it just takes. Why don't I play it like David Gilmour? I use a Zoom pedal.
Yeah.
If I play this pedal, it'll make me sound like David Gilmour. Remember that?
Yeah, right.
Oh, wait. Didn't work out, unfortunately.
I was thinking that maybe he wanted to use that pedal because you compare it to a slide guitar, like, because he really loves slide guitar. Like, you completely take him for granted. Like, we're talking about all these awesome things he does, and then he sits down at the pedal steel slide, and then it really blows my mind because the way he plays that is like nothing. Nobody else does that.
Crazy.
Yeah, on Take It Back, he used a Gibson J20 guitar through a Zoom effects unit. Played with an EBow.
Funny.
Lord.
Yeah.
So this song, A Great Day for Freedom, we'll get that one now.
Yeah.
So this one I didn't really like it, but this was post, the Berlin Wall.
Right.
There's a lot of sentiment with that kind of stuff going on. Roger Waters had a special concert with the Scorpions and Cyndi Lauper. They did The Wall, and so they did a lot of traveling through Eastern Europe. And I know David Gilmour loves Poland. So this was a big deal to him. So that's why I'm sure that's why he wrote this song. And then in 2022, they wrote a song. He wrote a song for Ukraine.
Yeah.
When Russia invaded, and the B side of it was this song, because same deal,
makes sense. Yeah.
That whole Russia, Soviet Union, freedom.
There's nostalgia
like
factor for me.
Oh,
if it came on, I would skip immediately.
Huh.
That's how I feel. Because it's not. There's no. Well, go ahead. We'll play it.
Yeah.
Like that kind of stuff. Not really impressed.
I love it.
The song reminds me of our dad for some reason a lot.
Yeah.
So there's some nostalgia there for me.
Yeah.
Like the round, I think it was like 2-minute mark. Like once it really gets into it, and like the bigger vocals.
This part. Oh my god.
Yeah, I see that. I'm about hooks too. Like, I love hooks, and that part right there's a hook for me. That little build.
Yeah.
So Justin's just wrong.
Sorry, you're wrong.
It would be great if it didn't do it again and again and again.
Right.
That's what.
Like when you do something well, do it once and let let people want more of it. Yeah, that makes sense too, though.
I guess it does do it several times. Yeah. Well.
I mean, I get that point too. There are sometimes like some songs do something awesome, but they use it too much.
Yeah, and this one's just really repetitive. There is a guitar solo, and it's good.
Of course it's good.
That's important. That's important.
I don't like songs that are just piano and singing, most of the time. And that's this.
But the solo is good.
You can tell this is why this is a song Richard Wright forced on the band.
Actually, the next one is definitely a song he forced on the band. I have a thing about
I
it.
hate this. The next one I really don't like. I don't like saxophones in general. So they have that honky sound that, like, I don't like harmonicas, saxophones. I like trumpets and brass instruments, but not those things.
Well, I have a clip about him with Richard Wright talking about this whole deal. It's only a minute and a half long, so I can play it. Yeah.
I asked Pink Floyd's Richard Wright in what ways making the Division Bell album was satisfying to him.
It was fulfilling because I wrote on it. And I wrote with Dave on it. And I sang on it for the first time.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah, I remember that.
So that was very fulfilling.
Good. It,
because you see, I have to say, I've never ever had any confidence in my voice.
okay.
And, but I wrote this song, Wearing the Inside Out. And so I had to sing it. And it was quite interesting because I hadn't really sung. And went in and did a track of singing it. I'd rehearsed it with Anthony Moore, who wrote the lyrics, but I basically hadn't really sung for 20 years. And did one take, and Bob Evans said, okay, that's it.
One take.
Which I couldn't believe. And went in and listened to it. And yes, it is nearly it. And we worked on it a bit. But it's a song that really suits my voice. I don't have a versatile voice, okay? I'm not a Dave. There are certain ways of singing I can do, like the choruses of Time, Us and Them, or the chorus of Time. I have a voice that can do certain ways of singing, and Wearing the Inside Out, because I wrote it, would suit my voice. I couldn't sing Money.
Yeah. So we could play some of that, what he's talking about. That's probably my least favorite song on the album. Yeah. Probably could, just for the fact that it's, maybe it's just the vocals that are kind of a little off.
I would fall asleep.
I like the lyrics. If you read the lyrics, they're pretty good. I do like the lyrics, but yeah, it's the low point of the album. It's right in the middle too. Interestingly enough,
the saxophone was Dick Perry, the same saxophone player from back in the day on Dark Side of the Moon.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, I feel like those the next two were the low point, and then Take It Back. When it gets to Take It Back, that starts getting good again.
So Take It Back. If you read the Wikipedia, it says it was the first single off the album, but it wasn't. It wasn't. It may be like the first one that they sold in a store in a little single package or whatever.
Yeah.
But it was not. The first single was wrote it down. I believe it was Coming Back to Life, actually. And then the second one was Keep Talking.
Oh, wow.
And then, and I'm talking months later, Take It Back came out after the album was already out. So, they're lying. Wikipedia page.
I mean, Wikipedia's wrong?
No. You can verify it if you go click on the link to each one of the songs. You'll come across their release dates and show you that it's wrong. That's not the order that the singles came out.
Well, let's play some of Take It Back.
Yeah.
This song has a cowbell, right?
It was Keep Talking was the first single. Lost for Words was the second single. Sorry.
Okay.
Yeah, I like the intro to this song.
So, you know how the Edge made his whole career off of ripping off David Gilmour's sound?
Yeah.
This is David Gilmour ripping off the Edge.
It sounds like you two a lot.
get to the chorus.
Heard that the chorus could be Tom Petty's song.
Yeah.
Guitar riff is so much like Where the Streets Have No Name.
Yeah.
Totally. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
You have to get to the chorus.
Okay, I'll keep playing it.
And then there's a part in the middle. This is what I said sounds like Tom Petty. Like, I don't know why I think that sounds like that. And then there's like this instrumental piece in the middle that's not a guitar solo. It's really cool. And it sounds like something, but I can't put my finger on it, what it does sound like, but it's good.
Let's
Coming up here. That's the E-bell. That's that E-bell with the zoom and the...
Yeah. Yep.
Sounds like with a backwards effect on it, too. Backwards delay.
Yeah.
It builds.
That sounds like something very specific.
Yeah.
It sounds like maybe like a nylon classical guitar with a lot of effects on it.
No, I mean, it sounds like another song.
It does, and I can't play it now. What is that?
No, I'm going to wonder about what it is on that.
It starts with just David playing that as part of his solo, then the whole band starts going with them.
Yeah.
I'm not convinced, but I tried.
God, it's going to drive me crazy.
and I'll pause it.
Fuck. Oh, that's going to be... Oh, it's going to drive me crazy. Oh, I'll think of it. I'll text you guys when I think of it.
Like Thursday.
yeah,
exactly. I'll wake up at 2 a.m. on a Thursday morning. Oh, it's that song.
You aren't going to sleep until then either.
Probably not.
Son of a bitch.
You could get out of bed. You have to come sit back in front of your camera and record a 10-second clip going
That's right.
that and add it to the very end.
He looked
really
like he had no sleep for
quiet.
3 days. Yeah. Oh, man.
Keith, you haven't
Well,
said anything in like 5 songs. Just saying.
I'm
Are you still there?
I'm still here, but I mean, the only one that I have anything written for song by song is Lost for Words. So
The LSD kicked in.
yeah, well, also the curse word.
Yeah, that's right.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that's right.
Please
Well, I
go.
wrote,
It's
I
so
wrote
funny.
that
As
down.
fuck.
Because I told I got in my car yesterday with my girlfriend, and that part of that song came on, and because I'd never noticed that until
What?
yesterday. We both looked at each other and goes, "He just said that."
Wait a minute.
Wow.
I've never noticed it. I'm really bad about I've watched some movies 20 times that are
Yeah,
still
and then you
things that I
notice
think-
something new.
you know what I mean? And it was just yesterday. We both looked at each other at the same time and goes, "He just said fuck."
Oh my God!
But
Remember
anyway,
that?
not to ruin your.
I thought Pink Floyd was G-rated.
I think I can
Remember,
name
this is a family band.
I think I know every place where they cursed on every album. Like, it always stands out. It's like suddenly this band's saying "fuck." Like it's really weird to hear that.
Remember Tollbooth Willie on that Adam Sandler thing?
Yes.
And that part where it says, "Go fuck yourself." So I had a mixtape, and I put that right afterwards. They tell me, "Please go fuck myself." Go fuck yourself. I stuck that right.
There's like a Dave Matthews song where he actually says "fuck" in it. You know, like Dave Matthews is pretty laid back and chill music, and he drops a F-bomb in a song or two. Kind of an angry sounding F-bomb too.
Is it
He
Halloween?
Oh, that That Dave Matthews.
He has a couple angry songs.
Is it Halloween? I think he says fucking Halloween, doesn't he?
I don't remember which song it is off the top of my head, but
I think it is the end of Halloween. He says
It does.
he actually does have some dark stuff, believe it or not, if you really listen to some of it.
It's like, what does he say there?
He says something about you're fucking. It's like someone's cheating on him.
Yeah, it's part of angry lyrics. So it fits the context, but you know, it's just out of character for their music too.
That's their best song.
On the song on Pigs, the song Pigs, he sings about a woman named Mary Whitehouse who was like the Tipper Gore of the punk movement in England.
Mm-hmm.
Like he was trying to stop. He's like, we keep our feelings off the streets and stuff. Yeah. But he literally calls her a fucked up old hag. In that song, fucked up old hag.
That's awesome.
Sherrod, you are.
Well, like on that same line of thinking, there's a Leonard Skinner song, like the live version that they play. I don't remember which song it is. On the radio, they play the live version sometimes, and he kind of mumbles under his voice, "I'm not going to get shot for this cunt." It's I don't remember what song it is. It's one of their hits. But like I said, there's the CD version, which is one thing, but they play the live version a lot on the radio, and
it sounds like it would be "Give Me 3 Steps."
Some cunt's recording what it is, or something like that. Yeah,
that's recorded exactly.
yeah, it's funny because you know they're not very dirty or dark either, as far as like language anyway.
Yeah,
no.
All right,
not like Guns N' Roses or something, which he says something bad like every
the
song.
N-word.
Oh god.
Exactly.
Oh my god.
And the F word, not the fuck
other
word,
F
but the other F word.
Yeah. Anyway, sorry.
So Pink Floyd.
There's another song like that, Eric, from Pink Floyd. In one of these days, in the middle part, like he plays the theme song to Doctor Who.
Oh, really nice.
Yeah, and that's what this reminds me of. I know it's something. It might not even be a song. It might be like a
theme song or
show
something.
Theme song or something.
Yeah, it could be that's something.
I know
like
what
that.
it is.
You do?
It's that thing she does in Frozen.
They ripped it off.
About her calling thing, whatever she does. That's what it is. Now you can't unhear it.
I don't know Frozen, so sorry. I don't have little girls.
Me neither. You had to suffer through that.
It's hilarious when I had to, sing my son to sleep when he was still an infant,
Yeah.
The song I always sung was Infinite Dreams by Maiden.
Oh, it wasn't the Grandma song by King Diamond? Grandma!
I couldn't hit that register. So,
okay.
It's a good song, though.
Well, Coming Back to Life is one of I guess High Hopes is my favorite.
It's one of my favorites.
Close second.
Yeah, this song, he played it in November, so he loves this song too.
Oh, nice.
And this song is about Polly and how she brought him out of his cocaine and all that. Like, this was literally about her.
Okay.
Oh, that's awesome.
Great
song. And
nice.
It was incredible live too. It was awesome.
I bet. Yeah. So.
I remember I had a mixtape back in the day that I used. Audio from The Crow, where he's killing T-Bird.
Yeah.
And he's going, and T-Bird's going, "There ain't no coming back. There ain't no coming back." And I used that audio mixtape for this song. So
that's good.
Oh, no. You mean that place downtown? Yeah, I remember her. We needed to put some fear into that little lady. She wasn't going along with our tenant relocation program. Her idiot boyfriend shows up and turns a simple sweep and clear into a total clusterfuck. Who gives a shit? It's ancient history. Why? What do you want? What is it? What? Speak to me. Speak! I knew you. But you ain't you. You can't be you. We put you through the window. There ain't no coming back. This is the really real world. There ain't no coming back. There ain't no coming back. I bashed the devil's foot and felt how awful goodness is. And felt how awful goodness is.
Where were you when I was burned and broken? While the day
I used to listen to it whenever I was sad. I would listen to the song. But also, it comes out of nowhere with this.
That acoustic, that ups.
Yeah. You just do not expect.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right.
while the day slipped
Yeah, it's kind of somber.
from my window, watching.
It's so good.
Slow tempo, exactly. Like, how often do we listen to a slow jam like this and it's just right?
And then it goes, completely changes gears.
You know why? Because if we heard someone else doing it, we would know there was nothing cool coming. There's anticipation here. Something good's gonna happen, even if this isn't good.
Surround me while you were hanging yourself on someone else's words, dying to believe in what you heard. I was staring straight into the shadow.
He always gets the best sounds in his playing.
There's that cowbell.
Yeah, that's the cowbell. That's what I was thinking of.
There's a cowbell?
Yeah, you hear that?
Oh, Eric, I never hear drums.
That's crazy. I did not notice that.
Drown them out. I know the beat's there, but I'm not listening to the drums.
It's on the downbeat.
I hear it now. I would never. I've been listening to this for like 30 years and I've never heard it.
That's crazy.
Well, that's like when we did that Pearl Jam 10, where we listened to the remastered version, and I heard some of the stuff we had heard for the first time.
Yeah.
Really?
Actually, it's on both beats. Sorry, it's on the down and up.
Yep.
You want upbeats on a cowbell? Never mind. I don't hear it. Now I do. Okay. Bad that I have Will Ferrell in my.
Yeah.
Tight shirt running around. Yeah. So good. Yeah.
That one has an Evo too, apparently.
Oh, does it? Okay.
Really?
I don't know where.
Yeah.
I read it.
It could be
where would that be?
Solo thing in the beginning.
Yeah,
Probably.
maybe.
Probably, yeah. That makes sense. That song is great.
So this song, Keep Talking, was the first one anyone heard. And it came out like the album came out in maybe May. Is that right? You guys should know. What date did the album come out?
It was definitely a summer album. I remember driving around and
it was March 28th, apparently.
Oh, it was spring. Okay.
And this song came out March 12th. So it was like 3 weeks.
Oh, okay. Yeah, there you go.
Before the album came out. This was the first thing anyone heard. And it was like, oh my God, Pink Floyd has a song coming out. They haven't released a song in like 10 years.
Yeah.
It was incredible to hear.
I have a clip about this one.
Okay.
If you'd like to hear it. I have two more clips. This one and I have High Hopes, and that's it. This one's about 3 minutes. He's talking about the Stephen Hawking thing, a lot of stuff.
Yeah, Stephen Hawking.
Yeah.
I didn't know who he was back then.
I didn't either.
No one did.
Yeah.
Okay. Maybe in England.
Except Pink Floyd, but, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, hang on.
Who is that voice?
Well, it's not a real voice. It's the voice of Stephen Hawking.
That's
rude. The professor who wrote this book.
This doesn't count. It's not his real voice.
It's a huge, popular book. He's suffering from motor neurone disease. And he's in a wheelchair. He can't speak. And this is a voice synthesizer computer thing that has been built for him. I think he can only move one finger, a tiny, tiny little bit, and he works it all with that. And I saw an advert on the television in England. For a telephone company. And his voice was on this advertisement. And this advertisement nearly made me weep. I've never had that with a television advertisement or with a commercial on the television. As I don't suppose you have. I don't think I know anyone else who's ever. But this was the most powerful piece of television advertising that I've ever seen in my life, and I thought it was fascinating. And I contacted the company that made it and asked if I could borrow the voice track from it, this voiceover track from it, which I did, which is this voice synthesizer thing. And
but he didn't get Stephen Hawking to do it.
One of the pieces of music
I guess not.
I already had, and had fiddled around with it for
You
months.
just ruined the song.
Started
I think he did though when they did that thing later where the whole album was, what I'm talking about, where it was a lot of his voice. I think they actually collaborated more on that one.
I bet Stephen Hawking doesn't even like Pink Floyd now.
Okay, there's more of this. One more minute.
Incredibly well known. His book, A Brief History of Time, was all about black holes and stuff. Is one of the biggest selling sort of scientific type books ever. He's a very, very successful person, but he can't talk or move or anything.
And what do you know about him personally? How I mean, he is like preeminent scientist, isn't he?
Yeah, he is. Yeah, they got him to do this advert for a telephone company in England, and I don't think he even wrote the words that they used with him, but they used him in the advert.
Further ruined it. Now that I know it was for a telephone company, like that just the whole thing's ruined.
It's so moving.
Thanks a lot, Tim.
I thought it was like this,
you ruined it.
I thought it was like this
deep you could say that,
statement about people needing to communicate, and now it literally is just.
It still is. It still is. No, it still is. He's just trying to throw you off.
Yeah.
Theme throughout the album, which involves communication, and pretty much all the songs are connected to the theme of communication in some way or another.
So but no, it wasn't actually. They didn't get the guy in the studio or anything. Apparently, they just were like,
so lame. That's the lamest. Jesus.
Well, let's hear the.
You're right. You're.
Well, there goes this album.
It went from a B+ to a D-.
Combine this with the encounter I had with David Gilmour after the show, and it's
ruined. Completely ruined it for him now. Can never go back to it. That pure innocence.
We should probably let's hear the fake Stephen Hawking thing then. I guess.
Yeah.
Okay.
But 3 years later, Radiohead ripped this song.
Yeah. You know what? Okay.
Fitter, happier. Fitter, happier.
No, there we go.
Mankind lived just like the animals. And something happened, which unleashed the power of our imagination. We learned to talk.
So the guitar solo on this one, it's one of the rare ones that after like the 70s, I think that he has to be using a Rat distortion pedal, which I never even knew he used until recently. Like the same distortion pedal that all those metal bands were using in the early 80s to get that awful, sound that had no like feel or tone to it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But jump to the end before he starts the talk box solo. You go to the end.
Okay. The talk box is cool. The fact that the song is Keep Talking on these talk box. Yeah.
Let's make sure
This is one of the 30-year tones.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it's got more grit to it.
But when he uses something like that, it sounds freaking awesome and great.
Yeah.
All the feeling. I bet that's what Mark Knopfler used on Money for Nothing. That kind of thing. Both of those guys. Mark Knopfler's amazing.
Yeah.
And I love whenever he plays like what just happened right there.
Yeah.
It happens a lot where he'll play it, end this solo on a note, and then the keyboard will come in, fade in over top of it, and turn it into a keyboard solo. I love that kind of thing.
Yeah, that is awesome.
And I love how he gets so much sustain out of so little gain.
He has a lot of effects.
But yeah, just still, like, you know, compared to like metal guys, his gain is not really that much, and he gets so much smooth sustain out of it.
I was gonna say that I think it's a compressor doing it. It's definitely a compressor doing it. But he had like 30 pedals on this tour. He was like one of the first dudes to have a real pedal board. To have somebody like go back and he might even have been one of the first ones to use those MIDI controllers for it.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder who it was who said we need to use a talk box on this song. You know.
So he used the talk box on Dogs and Pigs. And I fell in love with the talk box from that. And
you know, most of like everybody associates it with like 80s cheesy stuff, but again, he makes it work in a way that doesn't like sound cheesy.
Well, in Pigs, he makes it sound like pigs.
Yeah.
It's crazy. And then
David Gilmour.
Somehow, either he gave it to Peter Frampton after that, or Peter Frampton gave it to him. Like, from what I remember reading, this is like 30 years ago, reading some story that the first talk box was like, you know, handmade. Like somebody made a wooden box and put a hose in it and put a speaker in there and made a talk box. And then like the Peter Framptons and Joe Walsh's and David Gilmour's, they like kind of passed it around. Like, hey, here, you use the talk box on a song now. And then, so it hadn't even really become a thing yet, but they were all using the same thing, the same exact homemade talk box.
That's crazy.
I'm probably wrong because it's been 30 years.
Well, the idea of how to use this thing is gross anyway. Like you have to stick your whole fucking mouth in there, and like it's almost down your throat. Like it's
disgusting.
Did you use one?
No.
When I saw you play recently, you played a song that has one.
Well, yeah, but it's an effect on my pedal.
Yeah. Which song was it? Was it Living on a Prayer?
No, we do Sweet Emotion. It may have been that. But I don't think we played it when you saw us, but that's one of the only times I use it, but yeah. Yeah, so Lost for Words, you had some notes on this, Keith, right?
Well, one thing, really.
Just one moment in the
go
song?
Fuck yourself.
Yeah. Oh,
349.
Yeah, okay.
349.
I had that, and I also had 315 because of the guitar or whatever that is going on there.
Oh, well, let's start there and then go to the...
Yeah, we'll do that.
We talking about Lost for Words?
Yeah.
This is the second single.
Okay.
And he says it's not about Roger Waters, but Polly says the first verse is about Syd Barrett and the second verse is about Roger Waters.
Oh, interesting.
Oh, really? Oh, okay.
Huh.
What is that?
What?
Just a guitar?
Just an electric acoustic.
Yeah.
A lot of compression on it.
So I opened my door to my enemy, and I asked, could we wipe the slate clean?
The tone sounds very Telecaster. I don't know if he's not a Telecaster guy though.
It's very country guitar tone.
We just talked over it.
No. Whoops.
And saying it.
I do.
I know it's an acoustic though, because he.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you were going back to it.
No, I can.
It's what when he plays "Wish You Were Here" on that tour. It's like the same sound.
Okay. Were you going back to the "fuck yourself" part?
I can play it again.
It's funny because the radio would like drop out whenever he said that when you hear on the radio. Now here you are trying to find it. It's like opposite of what the radio.
To my enemy, and I asked, could we wipe the slate clean? But they tell me to please go fuck myself.
The way he says it too is very.
Yes.
Yeah. Man, that's so good.
Yeah.
Jeez.
It's a great song. On the High Hopes.
Yeah, I have a clip on that too. It's pretty short. This is the best song on the album. This is one of the best songs I think ever written.
Yeah.
I really do. I really do think that. It's just absurd how good this song is. But I'll play the clip real quick.
So I had a friend who didn't like Pink Floyd for those reasons, like I was saying earlier, like the Grateful Dead, Fish, and whatnot. And then this song came out, and then suddenly I started noticing like Pink Floyd CDs showing up in his truck every once in a while. I'm like, because he had the single for High Hopes first, and then all these other albums start showing up. I'm like, yeah, you see, it's not a hippie track. It's awesome.
Yeah,
it's very theatrical sounding.
It's the gateway song.
Build ups, a lot of big build ups. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And the intro to this song has those bells. Like, dun, 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 dun.
Yeah.
That I noticed immediately that was from Fat Old Son on Metal. The intro to Fat Old Son are the same exact bells.
Huh. Interesting.
And there's 2 lyrics in the song. They're callbacks to See Emily Play, their first single. Like, this song's kind of trying to recap their career, I guess. And after this song came out, now he plays Fat Old Son like every show.
Yeah,
so
I noticed these.
The same bells twice, like every show now.
This song I've noticed makes a lot of his set lists. High Hopes, at least on the live albums that are out there.
Yeah,
because I think he knows how good it is.
This is one where just back in November, this is where he just started playing that pedal steel at the end, and it was just, oh my god, I forgot this guy does this stuff that's like nobody does.
Yeah.
Pedal steel is just a really underrated instrument too, outside of country music.
Yeah, who else does it outside of country music?
I mean, so like the guy that lived across the street from me was in a country band, and he played pedal steel, so I'd get to watch him practice or whatever. And even then, I realized it was just such an awesome sounding instrument.
So
it's fun to play too.
Very, what's the word I'm looking for? I don't know.
I think what David Gilmour plays isn't pedal steel. Because that thing's like a machine with all these pedals all over it that do crazy things, right? You know what I'm talking about? You know what pedal steel
I think it is, because on one of those making ofs, he's playing it, because there's a video of him playing one.
There's something else called a lap steel. And I think that's what
like a couple different versions. You're right.
Steel. I think I don't know shit about slide guitar, so I'm just saying, or steel, lap, whatever.
Yeah, the internet says this. At least this song uses a hybrid tuned lap steel.
Okay.
Which is similar to pedal steel, but not the same thing.
What is a hybrid tuned? What's the difference?
Hybrid tune? I don't know. It just says it's similar to, but not a pedal steel. So
I mean, is it simple enough that a lap steel is literally
like gasoline? That was a stupid fucking joke of the night.
Does a lap steel literally sit in your lap and a pedal steel does not? Because I've played a pedal steel and it's not sitting in your lap. Maybe a lap steel actually sits in your lap. I don't know.
It does.
I think it just means because it's just
you can see him sitting there with it on his lap, laying on his lap on his knees every time. And then I'm looking at it now, and it's a Hawaiian instrument.
Okay.
Which is
because I'm pretty sure pedal steel is all just a kind of like waist high, and you sit in front of it, almost like a piano.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it's like a machine, and like you don't have like multiple pedal steels. You have one, and you're like buying parts for it all the time and oiling it and doing. I watched some documentary on it before, but now I realize that's not what David Gilmour.
Like, I thought it'd be cool to own one, but I don't want one anymore now. Not that I never use it.
You know what this lap steel must be? If you listen to Hawaiian music, that's like.
Oh,
That must be what this is. That must be the instrument because it was invented in Hawaii in 1885.
Wow.
Yeah.
I never knew that's what that was.
It's crazy. Well, here's
play some High Hopes. Oh, you want to play
this clip?
Right?
Yeah, it's a 1.5 minute little story about the song, so it's short.
The song that closes out the Division Bell album is an epic called High Hopes. Here's David Gilmour of Pink Floyd.
High Hopes was really the last one. It was written after all the others were sort of in some form or other. I think I wrote it in July or something. It was very, very quick. It's one of those ones that works quickly but beautifully and almost immediately. And I came up with a tiny bit of music, just had it on a cassette, just a few bars of piano. and then I went off to get away to a small house somewhere with my girlfriend, Polly, and try and make some progress on lyric writing. And she gave me a phrase about something about before time wears you down, and I took it from there and got stuck into a whole sort of thing about, I suppose, it's autobiographical, really, I suppose I'd have to say on that one. It's about my life, Cambridge life, my childhood, I suppose. Yeah, we came up with it very, very quickly. We wrote the words to it, most of the words to it in a day. And then I went back to the studio with no one else there the minute I got back, and put a demo down of it. Did everything myself on it, and it was virtually complete in a day.
Jesus.
That's insane. What the hell?
A day.
Like I said, fucking David Gilmour.
It's like one of the best songs.
Wrote the song in a day.
Yeah, it took me a day. It's fine. Knock this one out real quick. What the hell?
In another house. In another jet.
Yeah, right. Yeah, the back and forth with the bells and the piano is so cool.
Yeah, it's so simple. Just, but god damn.
Yeah.
Beyond the horizon of the place we lived when we were young, in a world of magnets and miracles.
That bell you hear there,
Yeah.
I got it off one of those like CDs of sound effects. Albums of sound, that's where it came from.
I had that CD.
Isn't that where the one of Brim and the Bell Tolls came from too? Like it was an anvil, but it was like a.
Might have been. I know the stuff in one is from that CD for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
All the gunshots and everything. Yeah.
Somebody needs to do that with a Wilhelm scream.
Yeah.
The song like, no!
Took our dreams away.
I really like the way the first guitar parts come in too. It's so just, yeah. Like you said, epic. I hate to use the word.
Classical guitar, practically too.
Yeah.
Oh my god,
this.
Oh,
yeah.
It's insane.
And again, like you said, it's so simple.
So simple. The drums are just military beat.
You know what? I just realized this is like a callback to The Wall. Right? Is that how things are callbacks?
And Welcome to the Machine a little bit.
Yeah.
This is like, is there anybody out there? And Bira starts with the drums.
Oh, yeah.
Or no, Bring the Boys Back Home. That's the stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's that whole, what's it called?
The military.
What is it called? Come on, drummer.
Oh.
Paradiddles?
Snare?
No, it's called something. It's not cadence. It's,
syncopation?
Staccato? I don't know.
Damn it, drummer, you fail me.
Well, I'm not a very technical drummer.
It's called something. It's very military, like when they're marching, you know.
I was never in drumline or anything. I'm just,
I'm in the military.
So go to where he starts playing his lap steel.
Yeah, that's towards the end.
When that comes in, it's awesome.
Yeah.
Eric, I just figured out where we heard that
Yeah, I've been trying.
This It's from this. It's
Oh,
about
Jesus Christ. You're right, it is.
You know what? I think I read that actually.
That's
They
hilarious.
mentioned that they did that. There's a callback.
Yeah, it's that. Yeah, it's on the pedal steel or the lap steel.
Yeah.
That's
Jesus
funny.
Christ.
They used it
That's
twice
hilarious.
on this album.
Yeah.
Oh my god. You think of Rudiments, Landon?
It'll come to me
It's not
Thursday.
Rudiments.
It'll come to me Thursday at 2 o'clock in the morning when you figure out the other part.
I think we just figured that out.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
Damn it.
lose sleep.
You hear it? It just did it once right there.
Yeah.
Keyboard behind the guitar went.
Yeah.
Could do it down.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then he's going to join in with the keyboard. The first time the keyboard joined in with the guitar, he's going to join in with the keyboard this time.
There it is again. Yep.
Also, he can play these notes that are way up there, and he does all the time on this.
And I was just thinking, it sounds like David Gilmour playing the lap steel. You know what I mean?
How about that?
Again, just he has a style. One of those guys that you can instantly tell that it's him playing.
Here's Skunk, I think.
Yeah.
I bet you they wrote that at the same time. These pieces were once together and they took them apart somewhere.
I think it's in like a Guns N' Roses song too, or something like November Rain.
It does remind me of that.
Yeah.
No. Stairway to Heaven.
Yes, that's it. You got it. Yep. Da-na-na-na. Yep, that's it.
Part.
That's what it is.
Yep, that's absolutely what it is.
Wait, stop the music. I can't think of
Stop the music.
which part of Stairway to Heaven does it. During the guitar solo?
That's a solo at the end, yeah. Yeah, I'll try to.
It's like the backing vocal thing or something towards the end.
So, do you know about the secret track at the end of the album?
I don't think so.
Go to 20 seconds before the end of this song. It's just silent for a long way, and then turn the volume all the way up, and then play it.
All right, it's playing. There's 30 seconds left. My volume is...
It comes in around 13 or 14, maybe.
Hello? Is that Charlie? Hello, Charlie. Great.
So that's the manager, his manager, talking to David Gilmour's son. And I think it's supposed to mean something with that whole communication thing, or at least I did until I found out it was a telephone commercial. I used to think that meant something, like he's trying to communicate with this kid, and the kid just throws the phone on the ground, and he's like, great. Like, we can't communicate.
Oh, yeah.
I thought that was a theme. Now I don't. Now I think it was just ruined. But I don't understand why it's so quiet at the end, but it's there.
Yeah. If you wanna pull up Stairway to Heaven real quick, I found the exact spot.
All right.
Go to 620.
Oh, now I remember. Once I heard that, like violins or something. Yes.
Yep.
He ripped off Jimmy Page. But of all the people that deserve it, that's the guy.
I'm glad Landon thought of it, because I was gonna.
Yeah, I would have never.
Like, I still like, even though they use it twice, I'm like, there's still something that uses that again. I can't think of it.
Actually, I think it's vocals, because there's that version that Hart did for the Kennedy.
Oh, the Hart. Yeah, that's right.
Oh, that's one of the.
I think it's slide guitar.
On that maybe, but I mean, like the version that I keep remembering because that's the most recent version I've actually seen, and I watch it every time I come across it because it's so great.
It's really good. Yeah. And what's his name? Robert Plant's up there trying not to bawl.
I know, right? Like you can tell they're all like really moved by that experience.
Yeah.
That's a whole other conversation though about Led Zeppelin.
Yeah.
Let's hold off on that.
We should get into grading this thing, I think.
All right.
A through F.
Yeah, I'm not going first. I'm not.
Need to review Kingdom Comes.
Oh
David.
God.
God.
No, let's not.
That was the precursor to Greta Van Fleet.
Yes.
The 80s version of Greta Van Fleet.
80s version.
In the past month, their name has come up maybe 4 times for some random reason, but yeah.
Who, Greta Van Fleet or Kingdom Come?
Kingdom Come. I haven't even heard their name since 1988.
Since Monsters of Rock. Yeah, exactly.
Oh my God.
Wow.
It's so bad.
Yeah.
I'm giving this album an A+.
Wow.
So yeah.
What do you compare it to? Like, if it is it an A+ compared to other David Gilmour or Pink Floyd, or is it just an A+ compared to the rest of the world?
We don't really
compared to the rest of the world.
We don't really do the comparison thing so much. I think we just individually grade albums because the comparison.
Yeah, we try not to.
It gets too tricky.
If you try to start rating them based on other albums, like ranking it compared to like other, it gets too.
Yeah.
Because if we do that, you're like, well, technically, it's not as good as the Dark Side of the Moon, so it's probably a B. Like,
right.
Yeah.
Like I give Justice an A+. I give Master of Puppets an A+. I give Red Lightning an A+. And it's like
that's what I'm afraid. That's what's gonna happen. Is if you don't compare it to something else, you have to give it something less than an A+. Which is why
I'll give it an A. How about that? Because I do think there's a couple songs that are not like it's a great album, but there's like a little dip there in the middle, and I'm like, okay. But yeah, A for me. Like a 94.
And then that's the year it came out.
There you go.
I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go B+ because it is a great album. I love the album, but the highs don't reach the levels that say Animals or the rest of their catalog does. Like when I think about oh man, I got to throw in some Floyd. Let's face it. Until we brought up, hey, let's throw this one in. I don't know the last time I even listened to this one. And it's just like listen to it now, and it's just like, fuck yes, hell yeah, man. Oh god, I got to listen to this more often. It's one of those. Why the hell haven't I listened to this? This is a great album, but I'm gonna go B+.
See, I want to jump right off on that because I actually am the opposite. I swore to my girlfriend that I would mention it this way because it's like me with drinking milk. Like, why don't I do this more often? With this album, disgusting. I love milk, but when I listen to this album, it's like, why don't I listen to this one more often? Because it's actually, for me, it is up there with their other ones. Like, it's not as good. Obviously, those are just classics. They transcend everything. But this one, it does do it for me every time I listen to it for different reasons. Like, it has hits on it, but I can also, it's a record, like some records you can listen to because it so well, you can just close your eyes and listen to it. But this one, it's good to just close your eyes and listen to and avoid like knowing that some of the songs are kind of like hits. And it just, like you said earlier, it's an album and you can it's a chill album. It's just a good album just to like listen to driving down the road.
Yeah.
And it's not, like you said, it does have its highs and lows as far as like what quality, but even the lows are still phenomenal. No. So it's an A for me. I wouldn't say A+. You shut up. It's an
Richard
A,
Wright
not an A+.
With a saxophone. Tell me Richard Wright singing with a saxophone. Even that's
the low point. That is the low point. It's not. It could do without that song, but it's still not bad.
Yes. Sorry. I beg to differ, but it's your opinion, not mine.
Yeah.
If it has a song that's one of the best songs ever written on it, that's why it's an A+ for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point.
I like it so much I bought the album twice on accident.
I don't own this album, actually.
I think I have to go with Keith. It's like a B+ to a B. And I'm trying to compare it even to what was out at the time. I remember walking through the parking lot of that concert, and don't ask me why, but it's the Spin Doctors.
Oh God!
Like, I remember hearing that specifically and thinking, why do I hear Spin Doctors while I'm walking in here to see Pink Floyd?
Mm-hmm.
And I looked it up, and that Spin Doctors album came out in March 1994.
Oh, wow.
The timing
we missed
was
that one,
perfect.
guys. Damn it.
So, as far as albums go, in March 1994, this was the best one.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Very specific.
But yeah, I'd say like a B plus, and that's because I really love Animals, Wish You Were Here, With the Wall, Metal.
Yeah.
Like, I love them so much, but I would also give like less than a B to have things like Adam Hart Mother and you know.
Yeah, I guess some of those just don't do it for me at all.
Right. So
I was gonna say, Justin, it doesn't matter to you, but March 22nd, 1994, Far Beyond Driven came out. So I would have to disagree that it's the best album from March 94, but I know you don't love that album, so it's, you know.
I didn't realize that.
Yep.
So
is that the same day? March 22nd? I know we
is.
said it was March. I think it is the same.
Well, I don't know.
Back in the day, they used to release albums on Tuesdays.
On Tuesday, that's right.
Yeah.
So if it was the same day, wasn't that Pantera's first album to go to number 1?
This one was March 28th, so that one was the week after.
Okay, a week later.
So it got dethroned.
Yeah,
I just remember Tuesdays used to be like record release day.
Yeah, because Mondays when the shipment would come in,
Yep.
and then they'd hide them in the back. It's still like that with video games, by the way. It never stopped. So video games would come out midnight on Tuesday morning, and
unless you're at a Walmart in Sterling, Virginia in '96, and they just give you load like a week before it came out.
Yeah.
That's
was it June 6, 1996? Because I was there at midnight the night before.
Yeah, we were in Walmart, and like they had these displays they were putting out, and the guy's like, "Well, I have the album right here if you want it." I'm like, "What?"
Right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, please. So we got it on tape and CD, I think, that same day or something.
Yeah.
Maybe it was just tape.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
And you're like,
I don't think you're supposed to do that.
No, I liked it. I think we liked it right away.
I loved it. Again, I really liked it.
So, but I would have to say, Pulse what comes out. Right, what comes of this, I would give like an A, and maybe an A plus. That was freaking nuts because that was that concert, and that was the versions of these songs live are even better than the album, which is not really something you.
A lot of bands don't do that.
Yeah,
not that they're bad live. Some bands just. Yeah.
I was gonna say, I think for Tim
talking live is insane with him doing a talk box. It's extended for like 10 minutes. So
yeah.
Anyway, sorry, what were you saying?
I was just gonna say, for me and Tim, I think a lot of this has to do also that where we got into Pink Floyd, or where we really started to like really enjoy Pink Floyd. At least for me, like I wasn't into them in the '80s, and it wasn't until much like mid '90s that I really got into them. So the stuff I knew and the stuff that was new to me was more David Gilmour related. So I didn't really even go back to the Roger Waters stuff for a while. So a lot of this is pure nostalgia, and like this is when I really started digging into Pink Floyd and getting into their stuff. So that I think that plays into it a lot for me. Like
it definitely does.
Yeah.
Whenever Boy Bod covered Astronomy to Mine, that made me go dig into my parents' record collection and find Pink Floyd albums. I want to say that was like 1991. So it was, to me, to have just gotten into this band and then suddenly an album came out. It's like, what the hell? This band has a new album? Oh my God.
Speaking of a good Pink Floyd cover in a band I mentioned earlier, Shadows Falls version of Welcome to the Machine. Yeah, Welcome to the Machine is phenomenal if you haven't heard it. It's really good.
I have not heard it.
And the funny thing is also, like, I'm a metalhead, obviously, most of us are, and the first solo in Comfortably Numb is my favorite solo ever.
Like
that first one, that little bridge. It's my favorite solo.
I swear Slash must be extremely influenced by David Gilmour, because if you listen to his solos, like if you listen to what the hell's the song Mother on that album? That guitar solo is like one of my favorite guitar solos of all time.
Because he's one of those guitar players too that doesn't have to play a lot of notes to say, he's very melodic too.
Yeah, but I swear you can if you think of Slash while you listen to it, it's like, wow, that could have been Slash. That's how close those two are. At least at that.
He's another one of those players that a lot of people like to hate because they think he's overrated. He's so not overrated.
And he's
awesome.
he can shred, which people don't really. I never expected from him, but he's like freaking nuts.
Right.
He never stopped improving his playing, and he's God. He was always in God, but now
he's always been really good.
Energy, aggression, power. To sum it up, it's a vulgar display of power.
Sometimes I think you drink just a little too much blood.
I'm sorry, I'm going to PA. Bloodaholics Anonymous.
Good note. Cut it up big time.
They are miserable slaves of Satan. Look out!
Some cunt's recording this.
You have been in the presence of evil.
Year